Hello everyone. In this video we're going to expand a little bit and get a little bit more specific on interacting with and using a tool that you're going to find yourself using for all of your objects that you draw in Inkscape, and that is this selector tool right at the top. Now, in the last video we talked a little bit about it, but the primary focus was on the idea of what parts of a shape you can interact with. But I want to show you how to use this selector tool when you're working with shapes. So you'll see here that if I click it, my cursor turns to an arrow that looks just like the button itself, right? So that's your selector tool. Now you can do a lot of things with it. It's kind of like your hand, on a piece of paper. So I'm going to draw a rectangle real quick by clicking on it and just drag one out. And because we have a fill and a stroke set, we can actually see this. However, you'll notice this rectangle it's got these two squares on either diagonal corner, and then it's got this round circle on it. I'll get to those things in a different video, but right now let's just talk about the different things that this tool does. After you draw an object, you click the selector tool and it allows you to drag that thing around like your hand, like you're sliding it around on the table. You just push down on your button and you can drag that around. It allows you to scale it. So I can grab one of these corner, and any one of these corner arrows, and the side arrow lets you change just the height of it. This one lets you do the width only, so you can basically make this as wide or as tall or both as possible as you want, and then just slide it to the position that you want it. Now, another thing to note when you're using these arrows is if you hold down one of your keyboard keys, it will do something to the shape. For example, if I want to drag any one of these arrows and hold down the control button, see what happens? It keeps the aspect ratio. Both sides are growing at the same rate, right? And that's because I have control held down. If I take control off, well, for a corner, control isn't really as important for a corner. You can't drag a corner. You can drag it in a different direction, but you can't really change the aspect ratio. If you just drag on a corner, it's automatically going to scale it. However, if you're on a side and you hold that control button down, notice what happens. See, if I hold the control button down, it keeps it scaling in proportion. But if I let off of the control button like this, then it starts only scaling it in one direction. Now if I put control down on it while I'm scaling, it goes right back to the proportions it was before I started interacting with it. So that's kind of what these straight arrows are for. And if you use them with your control key, then it allows you to keep your proportions no matter which one you're grabbing. Like I said earlier, if you're using a corner one, you don't need to hold down control. It'll automatically keep its aspect ratio. But if you're on a side, in order to keep the aspect ratio, you have to hold down the control key while you do that. Now, if you hold down control and shift, watch what happens. Well, first let me show you. If I hold down control and I just scale this like this, it's scaling in relation to this left side. See that little plus? See how that side over there is, these two parts are growing only in this direction, and the rest of the rectangle is growing out towards the right. But watch what happens if I hold down control and shift. See that that plus moves to the middle, and now it's expanding all from the middle. All four sides are growing. So that's the difference between the shift key. So anytime you want it to grow and expand from the center of the object, you hold down Control and Shift. And if you just want it to grow in one direction, see how when I'm pulling on a corner, the plus is up here in the opposite corner. And if I'm on a side, it's on the opposite side. And if you hold down Shift by itself without Control, see what it does is it grows in both directions, but it doesn't maintain the aspect ratio. So just think of the Control key as maintaining aspect ratio and the Shift key as expanding in both directions depending on which arrow you're pulling on. So if you use them both together, then you're doing both. You're expanding on both sides and you're keeping the aspect ratio. So that is kind of what the selector tool does when the arrows look like this. Now, like in the last video, we touched on this, but if you want to switch to do some other things with this shape, you can just click on it again and you get a different set of arrows. Now these arrows, some of them look the same as the previous set. They're just turned sideways. And you have this black plus with a circle in it in the middle. Now this is a different, the shape is in a different mode when you see these curved arrows at the corners. What that means is you can drag these and it'll rotate that shape. And if you drag them freely without holding anything down, it'll just rotate it. It's free rotate. If you hold down the Control key while you're rotating, notice how it rotates in increments. I think it's 15-degree increments if I remember right. But you get the idea. You can control how much or how accurate your rotation is. Now see, because 15 degrees goes into 45 evenly 3 times, if I hold down Control and I just drag this 3 clicks, we now have a diamond. It's a square, but it's turned 45 degrees so it looks like a diamond. And that's one of the ways that you can use this rotation tool. Now keep in mind that if you click this once, you get this one, you get the scale tool. If you click it again, you get the rotation handles. But the rotation handles also include these other arrows which allow you to scale the object. So if I drag these, see, or not scale it, but skew it. So see how we're skewing the, so now I've skewed that rectangle in 2 different directions. Again, you can click back and forth to change between the two. So if I wanted to go back to scale, I could do that. Click this, go back to rotate. I could put this back, well, almost back to the way it was. And then if I wanted to reset this, you know, you could tinker with it a lot, but you get the idea. So that's basically what all of that is done while you're using the select tool. Now one thing I didn't show you, and let me just delete this square and let's get a different one. Draw another one here. If you want to draw a perfect square using the rectangle, all you have to do is begin dragging down and to the right and hold down your Shift and Control key and it will create a square. As long as you don't leave that 45-degree area, you just keep dragging down and to the right at a 45-degree angle, you'll get a square. And then again, you would switch to your selector tool, which is the S key on your, so if let's say I just drew this object and we're in this state, if you just hit the S key, you'll switch to the selector tool. So the other thing I wanted to show you is when you're in this mode, this little plus with the hole in it, that's your center point. Now I don't mean center point in the sense that it's always the center of the object. It's the center point around which the object is going to pivot. Let me demonstrate that. Up to now we've been doing rotation with that center point in the middle, and this square is rotating on that point, but you can move this point around. Let's say we want to rotate this thing based on, let's say we want to rotate it on this corner. You can move that down there, and now when you rotate, it's going to rotate around that point. Now you can see how this would come in handy. Like, let's say I wanted to, just as an example, I'm going to scale this down. Let's say I wanted to create 4 copies of this. You can create a copy just by right-clicking it and clicking copy, and then you can right-click on the canvas and click paste, right? And now we have an exact copy of this. And if I put this, if I move this reference point up to here where the other one was, right on that corner, just like that one, and if you want to get it exactly on the corner, you can do that just by zooming in. Now I'm zooming in and out with my control key held down and using my mouse wheel. But now I've got that pivot point on this corner, same place where this other one is, and now I can rotate this and make an exact reflection of the one on top. You can even take both of these now and you can copy and paste them. A quick way to do that is hitting Control D and then Control Alt and V, and it makes a copy of the 2 items that you just had, right? So this is the bottom, this is the top, and now we have the top and the bottom. And if we group those, actually this is the group. Now this group has its own, let's get rid of that one on top. For some reason I have 5 instead of 4. So now we have this group, and if we click that, notice it's got its own center point and it's already in the middle. So now we can just rotate this. If we hold down our control key, it'll rotate it at 45-degree angles. Now we've created, basically it looks like a tile that's made up of 4 smaller squares. Just an example of how you can copy and paste and rotate around any pivot point that you want to set when you're working with a shape. So that is, I don't know what you'd call that. It's basically how you interact with shapes and manipulate shapes in Inkscape. And that's really all I wanted to cover with regard to this. Basically your scaling we covered, rotating, changing the pivot point, skewing, and shearing, using the control keys to scale proportionately. I think we've covered everything. I think we've covered everything that I wanted to cover in this video. Before I go, I'll just a quick reminder, this channel is supported by my designs that I sell in marketplaces. I don't have any Patreon or any membership. I'm just producing this information free to give back to people so that they can learn the things I've learned, and maybe even one day be able to design your own things like I've been able to do. So if you're interested in any of my designs, you can find the links in the description below. And I appreciate your watching this video, and I hope it helped you to get a better understanding of how you can manipulate shapes in Inkscape. Thanks for watching.